Teddy covers is 94-44, cashing 68% of his tickets since 2001 with his famed Teddy Covers NFL win totals report, a 20-year track record of success. In addition, Teddy is 15-3, 83% winners with his 5% big ticket plays, cashing with the Chicago Bears under last season as his 5% big ticket best bet. This package includes each NFL season over-under bet with the type of detailed analysis you expect from Teddy, primed to pay dividends all season long. Get on board for the low price of $199, or better yet, the support is 100% free for Teddy's full season football combo or NFL seasonal subscribers. Documented over 55% over the last 7 full seasons, counting every play, every day. Get on board with this proven profit producer and cash in.
Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. We're breaking down the NFC Conference, going down their schedules, season win totals, getting you ready for this upcoming season. Happy Monday morning out there to you. Happy Monday morning to you, Teddy, at Teddy_Covers, WagerTalk, SportsMemo.com. Welcome in, buddy.
Hey, great to be here, Drew. And of course, all of this NFL work in May has a payoff. And that payoff is coming in June. The season win report will be out June 24th. It's a Friday. Now, today's the last show that we're going to do before that week. It's summertime. The markets aren't going crazy. Drew and I will do a show on Monday, June 20th. And then we'll do another show as we start getting into football season in July. But this is the last every week opening line report. Again, we'll do one in June and then start up again in late July in preparation for the upcoming football season. But the win report release date is out, Drew. And for me, I love knowing the release date, because then, all right, now we're on deadline. And as long as I have a deadline, I get stuff done. That's the beauty about this business. All right, you got a deadline, you get stuff done. If you don't have a deadline, it can dawdle. So June 24th, just over a month from today, season win report will be out again. That's 94-44 lifetime over the last 20 years, 15-3, 83% with the 5% big ticket plays. So it's coming. It's just around the corner. But let's go through again. We went through the AFC 2 weeks ago. Last week we went through the schedule release. This week, let's go through the NFC. And if you're paying attention, you'll get the teams on my short list. You'll know who I'm looking to bet on and who I'm looking to bet against. And a lot of teams, the entire NFC East is on my short list. Drew, why don't we start there?
Let's get after it, guys. We're going to go in order of finish, division by division, NFC East, followed by the North, South, and then West. So, hey, at the top of it, guys, the Dallas Cowboys finishing last year 12-5. Looks like ATS 13-4, so a great bet last season. Slightly under trenders at 8-9 during the regular season. Teddy, looking at a prominent global sports book here. We got 10 in the hook for their season win total. Little juice towards the over, -120 on that over of 10.5, guys, +100 to the under for the Dallas Cowboys. Teddy, I'll throw it over to you. What are you thinking schedule-wise? What are you thinking for this upcoming season for the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, and I'm seeing tens right now as a prevailing number for Dallas in terms of their season over/under win total. There were 10.5s out there, and there are still some out there. But the money's coming for Dallas under, and I can understand why. This is a team with severe salary cap issues that has caused them to jettison a fair bit of talent. And one thing we're really looking for in the NFL, when you have a team like LA last year that has a lot of high-end talent, but the depth behind that talent to win a Super Bowl title, yeah, they were able to pay their guys, but the depth behind them was there. Dallas has paid their guys, but they don't have that quality depth. And it really, especially when you look at this schedule, there's no joke of a schedule for the Cowboys. If I'm doing anything with the Cowboys, it's not going to be betting them over the total. I'll just put it that way.
Fair enough, Teddy. We'll head down to the second place team in the NFC East, guys, at least by last year's finishes here. Playoff, they did punch their ticket to the playoffs as a wild card. Talking to the Philadelphia Eagles, 9-8 last season. They went 8-1 ATS, 9-8 by other accounts, and 10-7, slightly over trenders. Talking about the Eagles here. I'm seeing them, Teddy, 9 as their season win total with heavy juice towards that over. -140 on the over. I'm seeing +110 on the under of 9. So maybe we could call it 9.25 for the Philadelphia Eagles. What are you thinking here for the EEEAGLLLES Philadelphia Eagles.
And again, looking at the DraftKings numbers right now, I'm seeing Philly 9.5 over -120. So Philly is a hot team in the betting markets right now. No question. A team that has made win now moves throughout the offseason. Most recently, when you pick up Bradbury from the Giants, a cornerback who has a whole lot of upside. That's a win now move. That's not a play for the future move. Philly, bringing in A.J. Brown. That's a win now move, not a play for the future move. So, a lot of question marks in theory about whether the quarterback position with Hurts is good enough for Philadelphia. When you look at the advanced metrics, there's no questions about that. He looks very much like a bet on QB moving forward. Hurts does, and there's a lot to like about Philadelphia. The markets are hot on the Eagles. If you like the Eagles, don't wait. Bet them over now. This number's only going up.
Next team up, third place finish in the NFC East. The Washington used to be called the football team, now called the Commanders. Last year finished 7-10 for their straight up record. Seeing 7-10 against the spread as well, guys, and slight under trenders at, you guessed it, 7 overs, 10 unders. Last team up here on the under or over 8 for their season win total. I'm seeing, Teddy, -130 to the over, +100. So we are seeing 30-cent juice, at least at the book I'm looking at. Washington Commanders, Teddy, total of 8 for their season win total.
Well, Carson Wentz making the move from Philly to Indy, now to our nation's capital. Behind him, Taylor Heinicke and Sam Howell. I tried to give Wentz the benefit of the. I can't say I tried. I gave Wentz the benefit of the doubt last year. I'm like, here's a guy, maybe he underachieved, a new spot, his old coordinator, he'll be fine. And Wentz stunk up the joint and cost his team a playoff spot with his dismal Game 17. And now going to clearly, he's got the starting job, but it's a starting job on a team that's not going anywhere. Not a whole lot to like about Washington. Yeah, there's some skill position talent there, no question. They have some pass rushers, obviously, but when you're talking about a team that is built to win in 2022, Washington's got a lot of holes. And an aging coach who, how do I say this politely? I'm not convinced Ron Rivera is the guy that's burning the midnight oil to figure out, what's wrong with our team? Let's straighten it out. When you think about, a guy like John Gruden or whatever, someone who's driven in that way, and you compare that to Rivera at this stage of his career, I'm not real excited about Washington this year, and neither of the markets. I'm not convinced that 80 is even going to hold. I expect some under money for the Commanders.
We got the New York Football Giants up next, Teddy. 4-13, their straight up record. We got them ATS, at least I do, 6-11 against the spread. So winning more games against the spread than straight up, but still off of a not very good year. Talking about the G-men here, under trenders as well. I got them 5 overs, 12 under. Seeing their season win total here. Again, Danny Dimes at the quarterback position here, Teddy, and I believe is what franchise year, or maybe next year is. Total of 7, their season win total. Another one where it's total of 7, -140 on that over, Teddy. What are you thinking here for the New York Giants?
And again, I'm seeing +105 on the over at DK. So it pays to shop around. There at this stage, there is oftentimes dramatic variance from one sportsbook to the next. Let's take Daniel Jones out of the equation just for a minute. All right. Giants improved both their lines. Offensive line's better than last year. Defensive line's better than last year. This team was an injury-riddled mess a year ago. The last 2 years, the Giants have been injury. In theory, they should be healthier. In theory, they should be stronger up front. Skill position talent is not a problem. They're loaded with weapons. Defense looks okay. New head coach, new era. If Danny Dimes can play, the Giants will be fine. But that's a huge if by this stage, When when you draft a QB in the first round and then you're like, no, we're not, we're going to decline that option, for the 5th year.
Yeah.
That's telling you that, and I don't blame the Giants for making that, but for making that call. You can't sign Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes has not done anything to make you think, all right, this guy deserves the long-term deal. You can't do that prior to the season. But this is, you want to talk about one player being motivated. All right. If Daniel Jones has a big year, he gets signed to an extension, makes $100 million as a starting quarterback in New York for the rest of his career, for the next however long, and gets his endorsement deals and whatever. I mean, it's literally worth $100 million to him to have a good season this year. If Daniel Jones has a crappy year this year, he's going to be a backup. The rest of his career earnings over under $10 million. He'll get signed here for $1 million and there for $1 million. I mean, it's worth, it's probably worth this 1 year is worth $100 million to his career earnings. That's a motivating factor for a smart kid.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down, Teddy. I mean, the Duke pedigree there. It's just, to bring motivation into the handicap like that. Can he play or not? Because a lot of guys are motivated, but it's like, can you play the quarterback position in the NFL? And I know this kind of just a question that pops into my head, man. Yeah, just because you're motivated.
If he can't play, it doesn't matter how motivated he is.
Right.
Daniel Jones had the problem with fumbles. I mean, that's been his biggest issue, is that he can't take hits. Mm-hmm. In theory, if the offensive line is better, in theory, if his receivers are healthy and open earlier in their routes, he won't take as many hits and he won't have as many fumbles, and it'll look good instead of looking bad. But that's all in theory. Daniel Jones is a QB you want to watch pretty closely in the preseason. He's got a lot riding on this year, as much as any quarterback in the NFL riding on this season.
And would you say it comes down to his kind of game performance individually, or do the Giants have to make the playoffs? Is it some kind of combination of both of those, Teddy? Is there an actual grading system for him getting the $100 million and him being a career backup for the rest? Or is it just kind of, hey, what does the GM think at the end of the day?
If he has a good year, someone's going to sign him and make him their franchise QB. If he has a bad year, he's going to be a backup for the rest of his career. I don't know how else to phrase it, or how else to, I'm not sure what you're looking for there.
No, it's okay. Guys, I would think, that who knows? The Giants probably got to get into the playoffs, if not, be very close to making the playoffs, and he has to have a stellar performance individually. Guys, let's move on to the NFC North.
Yeah, 7-10 won't cut it. 7-10 will push for the Giants win total, and will probably not get Danny Dimes a big contract. So I'd say
we got the Green Bay Packers up next. NFC North division we're breaking down now. 13-4 last season. Their straight up record 12-5 against the spread. They were slight under trenders at 8-9. We got their season win total, Teddy. I'm seeing 10 in the hook, 10.5. Another one here with heavy juice, -150 to the over, +120 on the under. So 10.5 Green Bay Packers season win total, Teddy.
Yeah, the three teams that finished best ATS last year in the NFL. The only three teams that won more than 60% of their games ATS. Dallas, Green Bay, and of course the Detroit Lions. We'll talk about them in a few minutes. But the Packers being an undervalued, Packers with Aaron Rodgers coming back as being an undervalued commodity tells us a lot about the betting markets circa 2022. Where a team like Green Bay or a team like Dallas, the public teams, doesn't matter. Public teams can clean up ATS, and the books will still do all right because they're making money off the wise guys. Green Bay has the same questions that we've had, maybe more this year. Who the heck's going to catch the football? And I know they drafted a wide receiver in the second round, and I know they have a couple of veterans sticking around, but Devontae Adams has been that kind of a playmaker that you don't just, replace him. Does Aaron Rodgers ever get old? The good news for the Packers is that the rest of the division stinks. So that's good news for Green Bay, but I'm not looking at Green Bay as being better than they were last year. Packers only one way to go, and that's down.
The team that did finish second, Teddy, that's the Minnesota Vikings. 8-9 last season, guys. Seen them 9-8 against the spread, and over trenders at 11 over 6 unders. Talking about the Vikings here, 8.5. I'm seeing their season win total minus 160. Oh, this juice is killing me, Teddy. But hey, it is what it is. I'm seeing 8.5 minus 160 on the over, plus 130 on the under, Teddy.
Yeah, and again, you're seeing 9 at DK over minus 115. So, if you shop around, 8.5 minus 160 is the moral equivalent of 9 minus 110. So even though there's one you have to lay juice with, there's still it's actually the minus 160 versus the minus 115 that I'm talking about over here. In theory, the over 8.5 minus 160 is the better of the two bets. Kirk Cousins, last year, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The year before, 35 touchdowns, 13 INTs. The year before, 26-6. The year before, 30-10. In Minnesota, his numbers have been tremendous. Every year, better than 66% completions. He had a 70% completion year during this span. 3 of the 4 years, he's gotten to 4,000 yards. Cousins has been a very good quarterback in Minnesota. And yet, when you watch the Vikings, you're like, no, he's not the guy. He's not. The promised land isn't there. I got my concerns about the Vikings. And the markets there's a fair bit of support for Minnesota in the betting markets, and there's also a fair bit of antipathy towards Minnesota. They're a team that has kind of underachieved the last couple of years, a team that has been up against its salary cap wise, a team that, if you look at all the pieces on paper, they look pretty good, and yet I guess they've underachieved to that in recent seasons. So Minnesota feels like about a 500 team again this year. The markets have them as a 500 team again this year. And when Cousins putting up those kind of numbers and Minnesota's still mediocre, that concerns me about the Vikings moving forward.
Understandable for sure. As we move down the list, third place team here, Chicago Bears in the NFC North division. We had 6-11 last year, Teddy, in terms of their straight up record, 6-11 against the spread. And I'm seeing them slight under trenders at 7-10 towards the under, but 6-11 last season, seeing their team wins 6.5 this season with minus 150 on the over, plus 120 on the under. 6 and a hook is what I'm seeing in the global markets, Teddy, for the Bears.
Yeah. Last year, the Bears under 7.5 wins was the 5% big ticket report. And it cashed. Cash with relative ease. It wasn't a sweat. Mostly. As you mentioned, I'm seeing like 6.5 this year over minus 120. Chicago's in clear rebuilding mode. When you look at this roster, there are holes everywhere. There's not anything you ask me, what do you like about the Bears? Nothing. Don't like the quarterback, don't like the offensive line, don't like the receiving core, the skill position talent, don't like the defense. The defense has declined from where it was. Don't like the pass rush, don't like the secondary. Bears are a last place team. 6.5 might be rich for Chicago.
Teddy, there's one thing I saw just doing some research for the show. They get 4 home games in the month of December. I thought that might be a plus for the Chicago Bears. Does that factor in at all, in your opinion?
It's certainly not a negative, but when you talk about teams with a great home field advantage, the Bears aren't one of them. The Bears get clocked at Soldier Field year in, year out. They have a losing record on their field. And then you look at those games, all right, you say, all right, well, they have a bunch of, home-friendly schedule late. Yeah, they got the Packers who are going to beat them. They got the Eagles who are going to beat them. They got the Bills who are going to beat them. And they got Week 17 against Minnesota for, which isn't January for what it's worth. But, yeah, they get a handful of home games late. But, again, Packers, Eagles, Bills are the first 3 of that group, all of whom are cold weather teams and all of whom are better than Chicago. And did I mention that Week 14 bye? Probably should. Week 14 bye for bad teams is not a great scenario. And, of course, with the first-year head coach scenario, it's even worse. Teams get better when they have a first-year head coach, when they have an early season bye. Your bye doesn't come till Week 14. I see nothing but failure for the Chicago Bears in 2022.
Yeah, got them maybe circled after listening to that, guys, towards the under. We do have a team here finishing at the bottom of the NFC North last season, the Detroit Lions, 3-13-1. They did have that tie last season, but 3 wins, 13 losses for the Lions. 11-6 against the spread, though, guys. So a losing team straight up, but a winning team if you were betting them plus the points. 7-10 slight under trenders as well. Looking at the Lions season win total here, 6.5, Teddy, is what I'm seeing it. -115 on each side. So, hey, 6 in the hook here for the Lions. What are you thinking in the Motor City this season, Teddy?
Yeah, I'm seeing the over -120 at DK. And again, the Lions lost a bunch of close games last year, hence the strong point spread record that doesn't necessarily correlate with the straight up record. Normally, straight up records and ATS records are a little bit closer than what we saw from Detroit last year, but they continued to lose heartbreakers. And if you're a Lions fan, they've been doing that for the last 50 years. That's what Detroit does. This team looks better on paper. They look a lot better. You know, they had a good draft. They had a good offseason. There's not holes everywhere on the roster the way there was a year ago. It's a head coach that people that seem to have bought into what he's doing. It's second year of the system. If Goff can play, which he can, but if Goff can be decent, the Lions can win 7 games. Then again, you know, you want to be betting, you're putting your money on Jared Goff and asking him to overachieve. I mean, he's playing for his Goff's another guy. In theory, he's playing for his career this year, like Danny Jones. But he's already been paid once, so it's a different mentality there. You know, between if you've been paid once, the second $100 million payday doesn't have that same game-changing effect that the first one does. Goff hasn't been the same QB since he got paid.
Yeah, I'm getting that. You know, you want 1 beach house or 2 beach houses is what he's going through, not actually working for. I like what you did there, Teddy. Guys, we got NFC South up next. Tampa Bay Bucks finishing at the top of the division. 13-4 last season straight up. 9-8 against the spread, so not as sexy as against the spread record for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. 9-8 slight over trenders during the regular season. Teddy, I'm seeing them double digits here, 11.5 for their season win total. Talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, -115 each side of that. So 11.5, Teddy. What are we thinking in Tampa Bay this season?
I'll pass. I'm not going to play the Bucs over. I'm not going to play them under. You know, Tampa's absolutely loaded on both sides of the football. They have a Super Bowl worthy roster. If Tom Brady can continue to be Tom, I mean, again, we talk about Aaron Rodgers falling off. At some point, Tom Brady's going to fall off. Okay, it's inevitable. It has to happen. I know he's superhuman and eats super beets or whatever the heck he eats, but you know, at some point, Brady's going to take a hit and he's not going to come up the same way. At some point, I worry about Tom Brady not being as good as he's been. Certainly not at throwing the deep ball or any of that stuff. So at some point, there will be some regression. Am I betting this is going to be the year? No. You know, Tampa's as good as any team in football. They deserve to be aligned at the top of the NFL. We would expect them to be competing for another title again this year if Brady stays healthy and remains Tom Brady. At some point, that won't be the case.
We got the New Orleans Saints up next, heading to the Big Easy here. 8.5, I'm seeing their season win total. But guys, recap of last season, 9-8 is what they finished straight up. 9-8 against the spread and slight under trenders at 7-10. So with the Saints, 8 in the hook here, Teddy. -135 is what I'm seeing, the juice towards the over. 8.5 their season win total in the Big Easy.
And again, right now, today, bet DK at over 8 -130 if you want to, and save 55 cents worth of juice. You know, so There's variance right now that ain't going to be there 2 months from now. New Orleans is going to be a hot team. The wise guys like the Saints. They're a team that didn't have a QB for an extended stretch last year. Now they got, in theory, if Jameis Winston is healthy, they have a QB this year. And Winston, again, when healthy, the guy can play. He throws picks, or he has a history of throwing picks, but it's not like Jameis Winston can't guide a team, take a team down the field. He can. There's plenty of talent there. We like the coaching move with Dennis Allen coming in. You know, you're not bringing in someone who's trying to change the culture. You're bringing in someone, again, who might be a little bit hungrier than Sean Payton was the last couple of years. Payton into the midnight film study, I'm not convinced he was there. Dennis Allen might well be there in that sense. And New Orleans, a team that had a ton of salary cap issues, and they've managed that cap very well for this year. I thought it might be one of these offseasons where they just jettison everyone, and that's not the case. New Orleans spent this offseason making win-now moves. There will be some support in the betting markets. You're seeing it already.
I like it, Teddy. Yeah, Jameis Winston, I always pinned him. I think I actually got this from you in terms of he's an over quarterback. The volatility's there. Like, picks aren't always bad for betting overs, and he does throw touchdowns. So when he's taking snaps, I like to bet the New Orleans Saints to the over. Just kind of a little tidbit there. We got the Atlanta Falcons up next, Teddy. Dirty Birds finishing 7-10 last season. I have them 6-11 against the spread and 7-10 slight under trenders. Their season win total, Teddy, it's not bright. 4.5 I'm seeing right now. -120 juice on that over, but 4 in the hook is pretty good projection here that it's going to be an ugly season in Atlanta. What are you thinking in the ATL?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an ugly season in Atlanta. I mean, there's not, there's not. It's a full rebuild job there. Again, in theory, it's going to be Marcus Mariota as the starting QB. We'll see how long he lasts. Do we see Ritter come in? Do we see Felipe Franks come in? Who knows what it's going to look like from in the trenches standpoint. This team's bottom of the barrel at the NFL standpoint. I don't see any pass rush. I see this defense getting torched. Atlanta's a bottom feeder, and the markets are pricing them that way appropriately.
At the bottom of the NFC South last season anyway, maybe they'll fight to get out of it. The Carolina Panthers, Teddy, seen them 5-12 last year, 5-12 against the spread, 8-9 slight under trenders there. I'm seeing their season win total a little bit better, 5 in the hook, -$1.25 towards that over. That's -125 season win total of 5.5, Teddy, for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I had Carolina, I think it was 7.5 last year. I had them over 7.5. They start the season 3-0. And I'm like, yeah, Sam Darnold can play. Carolina is going to be easy. And they won 2 games the rest of the year. Darnold got hurt. The Matt Rule was a great college coach at Temple, at Baylor. The transition from college to the NFL doesn't always work. It hasn't worked for Matt Rule. There are things you can say to the college kids you can't say to the pro guys. There are ways to motivate the pro guys. It doesn't work in college. Matt Rule, whatever he's saying ain't working. All right. They will come into the season. Again, this is a coach that has a 10-year guaranteed deal. Okay. I think it's year 4 now for Rule. They come into the season, it's still going to be Sam Darnold behind no offensive line with no weapons. And the defense might be okay. Their defense might win them a handful of games. I think they might be an under team. They paid the running back. That's worked out so well for everyone that pays running backs. Yeah, that Zeke Elliott thing's working out great. Oh, Le'Veon Bell, how'd that work out for the Jets? I mean, the fact that anyone pays any running back in 2022 ever is like you're just not paying attention to the NFL. You have to let someone like McCaffrey walk. Can't pay him, and they paid him. And it's done nothing since they paid him. Carolina's going to be bad. They might be very bad. That might be very, very bad, depending on how the situation with Rule goes. But again, when you have a team like the Falcons and another team like the Panthers in the same division, that's good news for Tampa, good news for New Orleans. Both those teams should go 4-0 against their divisional mates.
Heading to the NFC West here, guys. We're breaking it down. This is the NFC Conference schedule look. We're looking at them season win totals. We broke down the AFC 2 weeks ago. So you can check that out. But we got the defending Super Bowl champions up next. And by the way, you can check it out on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Huge shout out to everybody joining us live in the chat box. And if you got any questions, feel free to reply below on the YouTube channel. We'll be in there throughout the week answering them. Teddy covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. We got LA Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions here, Teddy. 12-5 last season. That's during the regular season. And actually they were a losing bet, 8-9 against the spread. I have them 9-8 slight over trenders. Seen them this year, double digits, Teddy. 10 in the hook, not too high though. -120 juice towards that over. So 10.5 for the LA Rams, Teddy.
Yeah. So the last time we saw NFL teams win back-to-back titles was the New England Patriots doing it in 2004, 2005. Okay. Doesn't happen. And over the last 17 years since that last one, I've come in on shows like this and said, hey, they're the team to beat. They're the team to beat. Happens all the time. The Seahawks were the team to beat. The Patriots beat them in the Super Bowl. There have been lots of those. All right. Dozens of them. I would say, at least half a dozen times, probably more. The best team from the previous year comes into the next year and they look like the best team. But getting back to the big game is not anything that's easy to do. The Rams are loaded. Okay. There's nothing to dislike about the LA Rams. There's only two concerns that I have about the Rams. One, how hungry are they? Pretty hungry team last year. Can you imagine? They have an off season of we're champions now, or they have an off season of Tom Brady getting them together at 5 a.m. to start running routes. It felt a little bit like more of the former than the latter. To me, we're a little bit fat and happy for LA. So I do worry about how hungry they are. And I worry about depth for the Rams. A team that, again, from a salary cap standpoint, they have so much invested in their star players. As you go down the line, if this team has injuries, Rams ain't going anywhere. So those are my two concerns about LA. And again, you're seeing 10.5. You're not seeing them priced through the roof. Part of that has to do with a very tough schedule. No joke for the Rams schedule-wise. I think only the Chiefs is tougher.
Teddy, next team up, Arizona Cardinals. Talk about some questions here in terms of the quarterback. 11-6 last season, their straight up record. Have them 10-7 against the spread. Slight under trenders at 8-9. Seeing their season win total at 8.5. This surprises me towards the under, but -125 on that over. 8 in the hook, Teddy, for the Arizona Cardinals.
So Arizona's a hard team right now. We're going to pay a lot of attention to the Cardinals over the course of the next month or so. The reports just today are Kyler Murray's going to skip the OTAs, skip the minicamp. There was a clear disconnect last year between Kyler Murray and his coaches and his team. Okay. Clear disconnect. And you can't have that for a team. Arizona, if things broke right for them, this team could absolutely compete for a Super Bowl title. Okay. But when you have a QB who's not on the same page with his teammates and or his staff, I don't care how talented he is. If you watch the body language of Arizona and Kyler Murray down the stretch last year, you weren't betting on Arizona in any game. That has not been a situation that's resolved. All right. They also lost some receiving talent that is meaningful, in my opinion. So I don't know that they're as good as last year offensively. And they have a QB who I've got giant red flag circle, triple circle. Kyler Murray's A game, again, good enough to take this team as far as they can go. But there are issues with team chemistry in Arizona, substantial issues that concern me enough that I won't be playing the Cardinals over their season win total. They're under or past team for me.
Yeah, Teddy, I'm with you. I mean, at his top, the ceiling, I feel like it's a top, he could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But I mean, if anybody's not motivated to play, if you're unhappy, I mean, who knows what the floor is? I don't want him quarterbacking my team. I know that. Do you know? It seems like a little bit. I don't know if they're keeping it hush hush, like what the problem actually is. Teddy, do you know that, or is it totally wrapped up in internal?
The problem is that Kyler Murray is not on the same page with his coaches or his teammates. I mean, that's the only way I can say it. As to how far off the page he is or what the actual issues are, I'm not privy to that, Drew. None of us are. But there are clearly issues. And again, when you look at box scores, it tells you one thing. We watch games every Sunday, right? There was something. Arizona was broken last year down the stretch. You saw it in the team chemistry. You saw it in this. Saw Murray's stats. He wasn't the same player over the back half of the season. I've got my concerns. I mean, you remember that game against the Rams? It was over before it started.
Yeah, and this was a team that started off 10-2, if I got that right off of last season. I mean, they were headed in the right direction. What do you have not to be happy about? And then, sure enough, Ooh, it was ugly down the stretch. So we'll see what happens. I agree with you, Teddy. This is a team to circle and bet one way or the other right out the gate. So we got the San Francisco 49ers up next, Teddy. 10-7, just two teams left, guys. 9-8 against the spread, 8-9 slight under trenders here. Talking about the 49ers, 9.5, Teddy. I'm seeing their season win total with heavy juice towards the over, -145. So 49ers season win total, 9.5, juice on that over, Teddy.
Yeah, and so San Fran's a really interesting team, because in theory, you look at the roster, Niners they were a playoff team last year. They have most of everybody back. There's a lot to like about the San Francisco 49ers. However, okay, you have a team that has a QB controversy coming into the season, a team whose star wide receiver wants to get out of town, a team that has the potential, much like Arizona, for some real internal chemistry concerns. Now, I think San Fran overall probably has a more talented roster than Arizona. Certainly defensively they do. That's a loaded defense for the 49ers. But anytime you're talking about unsettled quarterback situation, and, here's the veteran, here's the young guy, and they're trying to trade the veteran, and is he not out of town? Oh, he's not there. And those are red flags, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I understand reporters need to write stories and make deadlines, but there have been a lot of stories about this. There's been more than, I just got to meet the deadline. Something's going on in San Fran that enough of a internal chemistry concern to, make me look at the 49ers as not a team I'm excited about playing over. And again, we talk about the NFC West as being this loaded division. We're about to talk about Seattle, who stinks. I'm not playing San Fran over. I'm not playing Arizona over. And the LA Rams are have depth concerns. So the NFC West, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's the potential for this division to be something of a paper tiger. And the opponents that face off against the NFC West and all of these high win totals and their schedule's brutal may not be quite as brutal if this division doesn't live up to expectations, which it may not.
Like Teddy just alluded to, we got one team left, guys. And a reminder, we will be back June 20th for the season win total report, kind of a mid-summer update here for the NFL betting markets as well. And then we'll likely be back for the full season right before the preseason kicks off. That's July 25th. So that's the schedule for the show right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Guys, if you are liking the content, please smash that like button. Let us know below in the reply section. Teddy and I will be doing the show June 20th and then start up again July 25th. So we got last team here, Teddy, for this episode, NFC conference, breaking it down here. Seattle Seahawks finishing last in the NFC West, 7-10 last year straight up. Had them 9-8 against the spread. Huge under trenders at 6-11 towards that under. For their season win total, Teddy, 5.5 is what I'm seeing, -130 on that over. So 5 and a hook here in the Pacific Northwest. What are we thinking about the Seahawks?
Yeah, I'm seeing 5.5 -140 to the over, but it's a long way from where Seattle has been. Seattle's been competing. And when your team goes on that run for a decade, and every year you're just patching holes and how do we fix it and patching holes. And then finally you get to the end of that run and now you've got all the holes and all the salary cap stuff to deal with. Seahawks are lined at 5.5 wins for a reason. Okay, this is the team that looks like a last place team on paper. And again, they're going into the season with Drew Lock as a number one QB. I tried to give all of these QBs the credit last year. I gave Sam Darnold the benefit of the doubt last year. I gave Carson Wentz the benefit of the doubt last year. I gave Drew Lock the benefit of the doubt last year. And they all cost me. Every one of them. Drew Lock ain't no good. Okay. We've seen it. We've seen it enough now. So Pete Carroll will get what he paid for. And of course, Carroll's sticking around in Seattle. What's he doing there? Guy likes to coach. But 5.5 is low. I don't know that I'm playing Seahawks under 5.5. That's a low win total, especially being that I've got questions about some of the teams in the division ahead of them. I ain't playing Seahawks under, but at the same time, this is not a team that excites me on paper. Seattle, from a power rating standpoint, this is the lowest I've had the Seahawks power rated since Pete Carroll's first year on the job.
Sure, Teddy. You guys, something to take from that. You know, these season win totals so correlated with what division you're in, just because of the games you're going to be playing. So you could almost feel that coming when Teddy said, "Hey, I don't know if I'm betting that towards the under," because you did have questions, even about the defending Super Bowl champions, you know, the Rams, and then going down the line with the 49ers and such. So Teddy, great stuff, man. Learned a lot breaking down the NFC conference with you. Did you want to throw out anything before we shut this down?
Yeah, again, if you want that AFC, that was 2 weeks ago. If you want the schedule breakdown, that was last week. So these 3 shows hopefully will hold you guys for the next month or so. And like Drew said, we'll be back and doing it on Monday, June 20th. We'll tweet it out and all of that. But that'll be the week that the win report comes out. I'll give you guys, we'll go through a little market recap that week. I'll give you guys some of my shortlist teams that week. It'll be a good show. So hopefully we'll see you back for that. And Drew, it's always a pleasure, man. Love doing this with you. I love talking football every Monday. There's something about it.
Absolutely. So we're gonna have to wait about a month, less than a month here. But also remember, guys, check out WagerTalk.com NFL season win total report. It's right up there on the front page. Teddy covers. You can also check it out on his experts page. The win percentage is outrageous. I almost can't say it because I don't think people will believe it, Teddy. But I can tell you this: I bet it personally. And the analysis is what's great as well. Not only the wins over the losses, which is nice for everybody that gets the package, but it gets you ready for the season as well, Teddy. So I'm excited for it, and it's coming out soon, guys. So check it out, WagerTalk.com. For Teddy Covers, I am Drew Martin. Guys, we'll be back June 20th. Come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets until then. Thanks for tuning in.
Teddy Covers is 94-44, cashing 68% of his tickets since 2001 with his famed Teddy Covers NFL win totals report, a 20-year track record of success. In addition, Teddy is 15-3, 83% winners with his 5% big ticket plays, cashing with the Chicago Bears under last season as his 5% big ticket best bet. This package includes each NFL season over-under bet with the type of detailed analysis you expect from Teddy, primed to pay dividends all season long. Get on board for the low price of $199, or better yet, the support is 100% free for Teddy's full season football combo or NFL seasonal subscribers. Documented over 55% over the last 7 full seasons, counting every play, every day. Get on board with this proven profit producer and cash in.